The Resident Evil 3 remake is right around the corner, and if you know me, you know I'm really freaking excited. And if you know us here at GameRanks, you know we want to keep you guys caught up and informed. So if you haven't been following too closely, here's 10 things you need to know about Resident Evil 3 Nemesis before it releases. Starting off with number 10, let's get you guys caught up with the story premise first, just in case you don't know. It's following the same line as Resident Evil 2 Remake from 2019. Resident Evil 3 remakes the 1999 PS1 classic that was a bit more action-oriented than Resident Evil 2, but the plot remains close. This takes place starting 24 hours before the events of Resident Evil 2, and eventually catches up with it. You play as Jill Valentine, a member of Raccoon City Police Department's STARS unit, the team that dealt with the spooky Spencer Mansion Umbrella Lab incident from the original Resident Evil. Now, of course, the outbreak catches up to Raccoon City nearby, and the premise is simple. Jill is trying to escape the city. Thankfully, she's super badass because a bunch of stuff goes down with Umbrella and their mercenaries, some bioweapons, and a mysterious and dangerous new creature that is specifically pursuing her, known, of course, as Nemesis. Now, what's different? Well, to start, some things are cut. The original game had multiple endings. Capcom has confirmed that this is no longer a thing. Still, it makes me very curious to see how things are going to play out exactly, especially after seeing some of the respectful tweaks that Resident Evil 2 Remake made. Also cut is Mercenaries mode. That's a bummer. What is Mercenaries mode? Well, if you know, you know. One addition worth pointing out, apparently Carlos Oliveira, basically the closest thing to a lead supporting character, will be playable and have a greatly expanded upon section and just general presence here. And judging by how they gave Sherry that awesome new location and sequence in the Resident Evil 2 remake, I'm really excited to see what they add here. But moving on over to number 9, let's talk about weapons and inventory stuff. There are lots of smaller details to go through. First of all, Jill's lockpicking is still a thing here. Obviously, she is the master of unlocking. There are yellow padlocks throughout the game that you can unlock to access different areas for various reasons. Apparently, the combat knife doesn't have a durability thing like the Resident Evil 2 remake. It seems like they ditched that in favor of the old school knife that sticks with you throughout the entire game, which, thank God. Weapons themselves are also pretty exciting, like along with the usual pistol, we've seen the new and improved grenade launcher highlighted, as well as a shotgun that only takes up one slot, at least probably until you upgrade it. Which, yes, of course, acquiring items to attach onto and improve your weapons does return, possibly, some extended ammo and some laser sights type stuff. Your inventory can be expanded upon with pouches you pick up, also like in the previous games. And also, you won't have expendable one-use items to save you from a zombie grab this time around. And thankfully, you have something else that is definitely useful, which leads to our next point at number 8. Let's talk about the dodge. Yes, dude, the dodge deserves its own whole special point because it's a game changer. In the old Resident Evil 3, it used to have a craptastic little evade move that definitely worked in a pinch, but of course that was 1999 and now it's 2020, so of course this feature is leaps and bounds better. Now there are 2 ways a dodge can go down. On PS4, for example, you push R1 and the direction you want to dodge, and you can dodge that way. It's totally multi-directional. Now, judging from gameplay videos and stuff we've seen, it seems pretty effective against zombies, which have increased in numbers in this one. But wait, there's more. You can also get a perfect dodge. It doesn't seem like you can always spam these, but they'll be useful. So you see an enemy is about to take a swing at you or strike at you, something like that. Properly time a button press and you'll get a perfect dodge that is more effective, it moves you further away to safety, and slows down time for a second. Now, if you aim down sights during that, you have a window where you can automatically aim and blast away at your enemy, and it looks really cool. I bet you wish you had that dodge whole maneuver thing in Resident Evil 2, didn't you? Well, moving on over to number 7, let's cover some other smaller gameplay features that we know of so far. Of course, the full game ain't out yet, so there may be some more surprises, but according to some eagle-eyed folks online, there will be collectibles in the game, similar to that cool Mr. Raccoon Guy collectible statues in the Resident Evil 2 remake. Assist mode, the easier mode, returns, and like the old game, starts you right out of the gate with a pretty badass, fully loaded assault rifle. It also gives you, of course, weaker enemies and extra resources, but also regenerating health, interestingly enough. Also, one other small thing I wanted to mention here that doesn't really fit elsewhere, but there will be a greater emphasis on environmental hazards to slow down enemies or just thin the herd a little bit. Think explosive barrels, of course, and electrical panels you can shoot to zap some nearby enemies. Pretty cool stuff. Next at number 6, now that we got all those little things out of the way, let's talk about the Nemesis himself. The main antagonist, hunting and chasing Jill throughout the game. Now, Homeboy used to pop up at specific sequences mainly as story beats, unexpectedly, but he's changed a little bit this time. Think of him as Mr. X from Resident Evil 2 Remake, but on steroids. Like, actually steroids. It seems like you're gonna be encountering him in gameplay areas where he's just stalking you in the main places, and also certain sequences that are boss battles. Apparently, sequences with him can last much longer than something like Mr. X because he's not as easy to give the slip. We've seen him surprise Jill and pretty much jump in out of nowhere. We've seen him move in fast and close gaps, and we've seen him pull you in with a tentacle to really mess you up. Also, he uses weapons, seemingly more so than the original game. We've seen him use a new flamethrower. He's gonna take a lot of damage, but you can use those environmental hazards I mentioned before to slow him down. Down him in certain encounters and he will drop these rare items, possibly like useful weapon stuff and ammo. There was also some hubbub and some controversy about the Nemesis being able to get into safe rooms and get you there. Apparently safe rooms aren't always safe. Everybody freaked out, but that was disputed by Capcom, and apparently it isn't true. And a lot of people still don't know that. Safe rooms are apparently still safe, unless Capcom's just doing this to try and hide spoilers. Either way, just always be mindful of misinformation. Now, over at number 5, let's briefly talk about some enemies we've seen and just what we know of. First, Capcom has confirmed that zombie dogs return. Now, of course, there will be regular zombies. We've seen hunters, which is awesome. The first time we really get to see them in the new Resident Evil gameplay engines. I'm really excited about that, excuse me. We also see the Gamma Frog hunter things are back. The Drain Deimos, creepy, awful giant flea monster things are there too, which, screw them. Their Resident Evil lore explanation is so Resident Evil, and now in the current generation, they finally really come off as nasty and creepy as they should be. These are really the mains. There will likely be more. Obviously, Nemesis is the main event, but we're looking forward to fighting all manner of weird, nasty bio-abominations. Maybe some new, maybe a couple of other things from the old Resident Evil 3. Either way, it's just so much fun to see how their designs are really brought into the 21st century. Speaking of that, at number 4, let's talk about characters and redesigns. Of course, the main character is Jill Valentine. She is clearly overhauled, and Resident Evil 3 producer Peter Fabiano had some interesting quotes about it in Edge magazine. According to him, the old original design was so Jill would stand out and be different, whereas here, what they're going for is photorealism. He said, and I quote, "We want to have a Jill that fit in, but still stayed true to her original personality and essence, and that's really how we came about this new Jill." Now, me personally, what I like about this is like the subtle colors and just the design as a whole does look like an updated version of the original, just a little bit more practical, very much like the remake Leon and Claire, which I was a fan of eventually after playing through the entire game. Carlos Oliveira looks a little bit more wild, and that's apparently what the developers were going for, but apparently he's not only visually redesigned, but his character will be redesigned as well. Other characters, I think, look much less generic and cartoony this time around are the other Umbrella Mercs. Nikolai, Mikhail, and Tyrell, who all just straight up look really cool now. You can see their comparisons here. Of course, there's also Brad Vickers. Oh, Brad. Brad Chickenheart Vickers is a fellow member of STARS, and yeah, let's not get into that right now. Apparently, the developers have teased that some of the changes, like the stuff to Carlos, that philosophy carries over to other characters, specifically like Brad. How? We have no idea. They did not say yet, but as a Resident Evil fan, I can't wait to find out what it is. Now down to number 3, when you get Resident Evil 3, included in it is the completely separate Resident Evil Resistance. This multiplayer mode is definitely seemingly shaking things up a little bit in the Resident Evil universe. I don't know if it's really my cup of tea, but after trying it at a hands-on event a few months back, I found it surprisingly fun and competent. It's essentially like a Left 4 Dead survival trial. You have to get through the levels as a group of survivors, each player actually playing like a unique character with some different traits and stuff. Objectives are usually like get to the exit or find the right items to get this door to open, stuff like that. You fight all manner of zombies and creatures, but it's someone else controlling them. Another player. This game is actually not 4-player, no, it's actually 4 versus 1. This player acts as like this evil mastermind behind the scenes, where they actually did some really cool deep cut lore stuff that I really appreciate, but we don't have time to get into in this video. But you're observing everyone through security cameras, which savvy players on the other side can actually temporarily disable, but you're essentially using resources to drop certain traps and enemies and slowdowns onto the battlefield, making their lives more difficult and slowing them down from getting to the end. What the best part, at least my favorite part, you can spawn like a zombie and then jump into them and then control them for a limited time, and you can actually do a couple of different moves. It's surprisingly satisfying and fun. Don't know how long it'll all keep people busy. You know, is it going to be the next esport? No, but it seems like some good fun. Also, they should bring back Outbreak. But coming down to number 2, let's start off with the nitty-gritty stuff and focus on graphics with PC first. On screen here are the system requirements. This is kind of modest. Basically, straight up, if you could run Resident Evil 2 Remake on your machine, you are good here. It is worth noting that Resident Evil 2 had some really great accessibility and different graphical options. You could turn down stuff real low to get it running on certain machines. That was just nice to see, just pointing that out. The engine scales really well, because Resident Evil 2 also looked freaking great maxed out, man. Also, it will apparently use de novo anti-tamper, which will bother some people. Resident Evil 2 had it as well, but eventually it was patched out. But on the upgraded console side, we only know some stuff. It will, of course, have HDR support and is said to be Xbox One X enhanced with 4K visuals, and likely some sort of good support on PS4 Pro as well. Info isn't always as solid on these until launch, but PC is definitely the place to play. Just saying, because there will probably be a bunch of really funny, dumb mods like there was for Mr. X and Resident Evil 2. Anyway, let's finally wrap up with some housekeeping at number 1. First of all, there is a demo. Actually, at the time of this video, if it's going out at the time it should, it's available right now. It's on Steam, PS4, and Xbox. Now, if you want to go in completely surprised, I'd say avoid it, but yeah, you do you. There's also an open beta for Resident Evil Resistance if you're interested. That starts on March 27th. Now, the full game releases April 3rd, 2020 for PC, PS4, and Xbox One. There's a regular edition for a retail price and a GameStop exclusive collector's edition for $180 that comes with a digital soundtrack, an art book, a map, and an 11-inch statue of Jill Valentine. Now, not to be weird, like not to be a shill or anything, but I got the Resident Evil 2 statue. I bought it, the one of Leon, and the quality was surprisingly great. I've gotten a lot of crappy collector's editions in my years with these statues, and this one wasn't one of them. I really hope it holds up here with RE3. If you are into pre-ordering, also, you get the classic costume pack as well. Like I said, we are really looking forward to this one, so expect some more videos from us, but these are the general gist of things that you need to know jumping in. Now you're all caught up. We want to hear from you guys. What you think about Resident Evil 3 Remake down in the comments. What's your favorite Resident Evil game? Is it this one? What else do you want to be remade? Let's talk anything RE3 down in the comments. If you learned something from this video and you appreciate it, clicking the like button does actually help us out. And if you're new, maybe consider subscribing because we put out videos every single day. But as always, thanks for watching. We'll see you guys next time.